to another global intelligence update. In fact, it's my first global intelligence update for the year. So you all can just relax. I hope you have a coffee or a water or something that your feet's up. And this is not going to be too long of a global intelligence update. This is really just to introduce you to module 4. I'll be taking you through module 4, which is all about people and talent and surrounding yourself with the right people so that you don't have to do everything on your own. We specifically in this module going to touch on what we call the Ring of Steel. And the Ring of Steel really is about building rock solid people around you and your business. We work with too many entrepreneurs who do this all alone, even people who have 10 teams, even people who have 50 employees, even people who's in corporate still try and do things on their own, or they may have the team around them, but it's not actually the right team, so they remain unsupported. And this team of people around you that should be supporting you is called the Ring of Steel support system. Now, if you're on this call today and you go, why are we on module 4? I just want to give you a quick heads up that we have previously done module 1, module 2, module 3, and now we're on module 4. And so previously we went through business strategy. So if you're still at that point where you want to see the big picture, I really want to recommend you go back onto the playlist and look at some of the business strategy stuff, especially if you don't have clarity at the moment and you want to see the bigger picture of where you want to go with your business this year. We've also spoken on previous playlists or calls about conscious leadership. That's really setting things up with a conscious leadership mindset, setting your business and life up with that before jumping into the detail, which is the products and services and marketing and sales and all those things. And then last year, we tackled module 3, which is all about how to package your products and services, how to brand yourself, how to position yourself as an authority in front of your audience. So that's really, really valuable if you want to up your price and you want to be taken more seriously in your market. It's a 13 lesson plan module. It took us the whole year last year to go through that, but there's 13 sessions, and I would highly recommend that you go back there and check that out too, especially if you're only catching up now, meaning you're going onto module 4 and you're going, oh, maybe I've missed something before that. This module is really about people and talent. It's about building a rock solid people around you and around your business. And so the learning outcomes you can expect here is to get an overview of the Ring of Steel support system. What does it mean? Why do we call it the Ring of Steel support system? What does it consist of? And why is it fundamental to the success of your business? Number 2, we're going to gain some insights on the types of talent that successful businesses surround themselves with. You know, we all have been taught it's just employees. It's not the case. There's so many other options for you. And then we'll also look at how to attract the right talent into your business. Now, this is an overview session. This is to open up the whole idea of Ring of Steel. But in the following lesson plans under module 4, when I'm up, we're going to go into depth. So this is certainly not just it. There will be more. Today is just an overview. So let's get into the Ring of Steel support system and try and understand a little bit more what this is about. So the Ring of Steel support system really is this. It's basically a system of really reliable, trustworthy, good people that you build around your business. Now, for many people who's in an entrepreneurial role, what happens is they come from a corporate space or they've never been in corporate, and then they basically just hit the floor running. And what happens is they go, look, I think I'm going to get a virtual assistant. And then they go, oh, I'm doing too many things. I think I'm just going to get a graphic designer. And you know what? I can't do sales. I need to find a sales rep. Or, you know what? I'm actually delivering to my clients and I don't have all this time to deliver to my clients. I'm just going to get someone to do that for me. So it becomes a little bit of shooting in the dark in terms of the people you surround yourself with. Many people only consider employees. They don't even consider anything else. Some people consider outsourcing. Other people consider virtual assistants. And what I'm doing today with the Ring of Steel is just to expand your mind. to sort of tickle your mind a little bit and make you go, you know what, you've maybe considered A, B, and C on the menu, but there's a whole menu of options here that's going from A to Z that you may want to consider when you actually surround yourself with people. And the more stronger the steel is, or the stronger the ring is of people that surround you, the better your business is set up for success. So you may, if you want to be a little bit more traditional, you might want to look at this as a type of organizational structure, but it's not quite that, because an organizational structure usually only makes space for employees and a few other things, whereas the ring of steel is sort of, let's call it version 2 of the organizational structure, where you now look at your business from a much bigger point of view and see what is really required in this business for you to remain sane, but also for you to feel 100% supported, and of course, in order for you to deliver to your client the highest value that you possibly can. So let's move on. Attached to this system, to the Ring of Steel system or lesson plan in this module, is a worksheet. It's a worksheet that we've designed that specifically speaks to the Ring of Steel. And all I want you to do at this stage is to go and grab that worksheet. You can just reach out to Chris and he'll be happy to send you that worksheet. The worksheet is in the Octopus program. It's a PDF and he can distribute that to you. Chris, if you don't mind doing that. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you can always just check in with Chris at circleofexcellence.biz and he'll be happy to send you this worksheet. But what this worksheet basically will do for you is to help you sit and apply your mind. So if you're looking at this Ring of Steel support system, you can start looking at things like, who's the type of people I want to surround myself with, and who is potentially in my network that I already can go and talk to about being part of my Ring of Steel. So your Ring of Steel, by the way, can look whatever way you want it to look. The idea of this worksheet is just to make you think of possibilities you've not thought of before. So, for example, a Ring of Steel can consist of an advisory board. Now, many of you may sit on here and go, oh, you know, I never thought of an advisory board. I don't want to have the legalities of an advisory board, but we're not talking about a legal board as you would know in the normal legal system. We're talking here of an advisory board, people that basically sits as your international board of directors or on your advisory board. They're people that you really respect. It's people who's good in a certain area, and all you do, you simply invite them into your ecosystem. So you would go to them, for example, and say, look, I have this company, and I'm going to use as an example, we are the Ring of Steel group of companies. We help conscious leaders play a bigger game. Hey, I see that you've had a stunning career so far, 30 years in finance, in corporate. I would love for you to sit on my advisory board. We'll be checking in once a month or once a quarter with the other board members. And I'm literally just going to put my financials and my strategy and plans in front of you and get your input. What do you get in return? Well, you get to mentor us, you get to learn about our clients, our industries, you get to meet other board of directors, whatever deal you want to put for them on the table. So take this worksheet and go and write down who could potentially be your advisory board members. In many respects, for those of you who sit on this call and is, Circle of Excellence members, you have us as our international advisory board, and you can position us as such on your website and your public forums as well. Maybe you have an uncle or an aunt that's really, really good in strategy or had a huge career in advertising or any of those things, and you want to jot their name down. And once you've done that, you want to start thinking of what is a deal that I can put on the table to lure them into my ecosystem, and what in that deal will create a win-win situation for us as well as for them, so that there does not have to be a financial or a transactional exchange between us. In other words, I do not have to pay them and they do not have to pay me. Another one here in your worksheet is your dream team. Your dream team is really traditionally what we would have referred to as your organizational chart. But because many of you who sit in this call has never thought of putting an organizational chart together for your business, you've never seen your business in its full potential. And because you've not seen your business in its full potential, you have no idea who you want on your dream team. If you take your business the way it is today and you go and put an organizational chart together, even though all the positions is vacant, or even though you probably filling all of the positions, you'll start seeing things like, oh my goodness, I need a marketing department, I need a sales department, I need an HR department, I need customer relationships management, I need lead generation, I need PR. And so by doing that, you start realizing who's the people that you want on your team. And even though you can't recruit them within a week or within a month or even within a year, you have a very good idea of where you're working towards. And you're also trying to get yourself out of those roles as quickly as possible. So a fun exercise on the dream team would be to, for example, to go and draw your business as if it's a body. And then you say to yourself, so at this stage, who's the eyes of the business? Who's the mouth of the business? Who's the ears of the business? Who's the heart of the business? Who's the hands who does the operations for the business? And so on and so on and so on. And that already will give you, and here's the key word, role clarification. Role clarification in terms of what's the roles that's available in this business. And even though I'm fulfilling all those roles, or even though I only have 5 people fulfilling that roles, that will really give you clarity in terms of what's required in future for you to build that dream team. Your number experts, every business needs to be surrounded by number experts, accountants, auditors, you know, and maybe this is something that you initially want to outsource, but you can't just pretend it's not there. You can't do an ostrich. You can't go bloop, head under the sand and go, I don't need number experts. You know, me and Mike and a lot of people in the Circle of Excellence group are really creative people, and we like to come up with new ideas. And you know, I love to call us chickens because we always like to lay new eggs and come up with new projects and stuff. So we especially need number people. So when we go and see our accountants, we have a few, we normally go, oh, you know, now they're going to hold us accountable, and they're going to ask about that expense, and they're going to ask about that flight and blah, blah. But we realize we need that in our ring of steel. If we don't have it in our ring of steel, that's going to be a big essential part of the business that's missing. So who's your number expert that you can put in your ring of steel? Then wellness coaches, we so much forget that we have energy to manage. Many of you who come into our environment, whether you're a Circle of Excellence member or you're Octopus Tribe member, or you're from some other place listening to this, come to us because you want to know about business. But I can't tell you how many times we end up on calls with people talking about mindset, talking about the way you're managing your energy, talking about your wellness, talking about the way you think, whether you're proactive, whether you're reactive, whether the money we're asking you to charge your clients is just way too much for you and giving you a sense of discomfort. So there's so much in the wellness space when it comes to having a business. And on top of that, having a lifestyle and really believing that you are worthy to have, you know, all those things if you put the right structures in place, but also apply the right mindset. So you want in your ring of steel someone who come to you and say, look, you've taken it too far, you know, you are not eating well, or you're not sleeping, or you're taking it too hard, or you're taking it too slow, or why are you giving up so quickly, or why are you so ugly with yourself, or why can other people who's 10 times better than you charge all this money and you can't, and so on and so on. So you want to think about that person. Maybe this is someone you walk with every Friday morning, and you check in with each other on the health of your mind. I know there's a lot going on at the moment on mental health. Everyone's talking about mental health, but mental health is very, very real. And if you are not mentally healthy, you know, it's very easy for you to slip. Just the way my voice is slipping a little bit at the moment. So do go and look at that person. It may be a parent. It may be a support group or buddies. It may be other entrepreneurs. You know, you may want to go into this community and find 2 or 3 other entrepreneurs, and you talk about your mindset every Friday at 4 o'clock before you knock off for the weekend, and get some great insights from them. Maybe they give you feedback and say, you know what, and this is not a criticism, but we all on this call are super, super positive, but also realistic, but yet you always see the worst in everything, and maybe that's really affecting your business and your cash flow. It's really important we have this in our ring of steel. You need wingmen. Wingmen is your ambassadors. These are the people who's out there talking about you. These are the people who's liking your Facebook. They're sharing your things. They're really inspired by you, but they're not necessarily a client. They may be a peer in your industry, and you really want to form close relationships with those people where you feel they got your back. And you don't need hundreds of them, but we do find people really neglect their relationships. They neglect their relationships with their peers. They neglect their relationships with people in industry. That can be incredibly useful in, let's say, for example, you're going to go and pitch in a boardroom. Who's that person that you call and say, look, I have a big pitch. Can you maybe just come for moral support and sit there as a member of my team in inverted commas, so that I don't look as like a one-man band, but there's someone with me. It's a person that may want to network with you. It's a person who may go and listen to motivational talks with you. It's a person who become your mirror or benchmarks things with you. Where are those people? And you want to put them in your ring of steel. These can be phenomenal contacts. These can be people that's really highly connected. And the whole philosophy behind the ring of steel is that you close your laptop and start focusing more on the people and on grooming relationships with other people. And then the last column there is your next level clubs. I want to encourage you to go and belong to as many clubs as possible. This can be very much based on your preference. Maybe there's a yacht club you can go and belong to because you love yachts. Maybe there is a golf club you want to belong to. Maybe there is a high tea club or a fashion club or a charity or an association or anything like that that you can belong to. And once you're paying those membership fees, work it, get to know these people, form friendships with them, be good to them, so that they want to be good to you. I don't want these things to be superficial. That's why we call it a ring of steel, because it's based on real trust and on real relationships. So there's your worksheet. You can get that from Chris if you want to, and go and print it out. And as an overview of the Ring of Steel support system, really start applying your mind and ask yourself, where's my Ring of Steel? And what can I do to actually start building a Ring of Steel for my business as well? So here's some case studies of people that we've had on our Ring of Steel before. We still have them on our Ring of Steel. And this is just to give you an idea. Now, this is Dustin Matthews. He's from the USA. And I'm trying to bring this across so you can see, look, there's so much options. If you have a business that is localized and you're just in one country, I want to tell you the world is your oyster. And also, you do not have to serve everyone. When I say the world is your oyster, you don't have to go and run out there and say, now I need to find 2 people in my Ring of Steel in every single country. You could decide, what's your preference? Maybe there's certain countries you like more than others. Maybe certain markets relate more to you than other markets. And so we formed a relationship with Dustin. We met him actually on a marketing cruise in the Caribbean many moons ago, and we just really got along, and we just really had an invested interest in each other's businesses. And so ultimately he became one of our advisory board members, where he sits once in a blue moon, once a quarter maybe, and listen to our ideas and what we're doing, and he's bringing his perspective. Again, there's no financial transaction. We have positioned him on our website, Circle of Excellence Group of Companies, as an international board of director, and it's been invaluable for both parties. Today, we are friends, and we really have an invested interest in each other's lives, meaning it's important for Dustin that it's going well with me and Mike. It's important for us that it's going well with his wife and his kids and his business, and we've seen the relationship going through evolution as we've gone along. This literally started by going on a ship in the Caribbean. Lisa Dutson is another very good friend of ours. This relationship started in the property industry. She and Mike had a real invested mutual interest in property. And eventually she became one of our board of director members as well, also on our advisory board. Every time we get to Auckland, we sit and we have a little meeting, and she peppers us with questions that we so appreciate. advisory board strategic questions. It's so easy for all of us, including us, to get involved in the operations of the business and not lift out of the forest. So it's very refreshing when we see Lisa every time for her to come up with her questions. What about this? What's happening with your products? What's happening with your service? What innovation are you bringing to the forefront? What's your numbers saying? Is this working? Is this not working? What about that partnership? Oh, I want to do an introduction to this person. And the same here with Ross. Ross that you see on the other side is actually our New Zealand-based accountant. So he's on the board of directorship as well, but he's definitely a numbers person for us as well. And we also have an accountant in South Africa. So we actually have spread a little bit of it around because of all the different numbers, accountancy issues, tax that we deal all over the countries with. So it helps us to have a couple of accountants, and we're actually busy recruiting a third in the number space because of international relations. So there's some more examples of people we've put in our ring of steel. Here we've got Paul Taval. Paul at the moment is the president of the Virtual Speakers Association. We met Paul at the Global Speakers or at a speakers event in Namibia many moons ago, and our relationship with him has evolved from a client to actually friendship to actually doing numerous things together, global speaker summits, putting one together at the moment in alliance with him as well. So that has led to the type of relationship where we can sit down with him and get real good perspectives from him. He's a lawyer, so he brings that perspective as well. He's a leader, so he brings those perspectives as well. And he's got our best interest at heart, hopefully too. So there's some examples of the type of people that you can have either on your advisory board, or have them in the number area, or have them as a wellness coach who's got your interest at heart, or a wingman, or whatever you want to call it. So do print out this worksheet and go and play with ideas. So once you know who you have or who you want to have on your Ring of Steel worksheet, you need to come up with a plan to attract these people. You know, you can't just pick up the phone and go, "Hi, Ross, Landi here. Would you be please one of my advisory board members?" And he's going to go like, I don't really quite get it. So you really want to put a deal on the table for the people or a value proposition before you just approach them. I highly recommend you focus on your relationship with them first. You know, if you're going to tag a person here from across the world and just contact them and say, "Hey, be my numbers person or be my wingman," people's going to think you seriously dodge, right? So don't do that. Focus on the relationship first. And then as the relationship evolves, start focusing on a win-win relationship for both parties. And then you go and formulate a plan. So let's say, for example, I want to approach Heather, who's on this call, and I want Heather to be one of my wellness people who keep my head straight. I need to have my brief right. So you want to frame it, you know, you want to explain to Heather, "Heather, this is the nature of what I'm doing. This is the type of challenges I run into. I get too operationally involved in my business and take on too many things. So before I see it, I burn out. And so it will be very useful for me to actually have a person." You can see we're moving over to the benefits now. It will be very useful for me to have a person who can keep me accountable in the follow areas. And at the same time, I can keep you accountable with the health of your mind as well. So then you want to go and look for a pond where people hang out, potential numbers people or wingmen or advisory board members. Is your pond leaders? Is your pond consultants? My first consultancy business that I built, I had a very powerful ring of steel around me, and I've identified my pond as business consultants. So basically, I would go out where the business consultants hang out, build a really strong relationship with them, and then they would go and introduce me to their clientele. And so that did not only allow me to get business, but that allowed me to have some of them on my advisory board membership. It also allowed me to have some of them on my wellness team, where we would get together in Johannesburg those days, and really talk about what's working for us in life, what's not working for us, what's good for our mindset, what's not for our good for our mindsets, and give each other real good feedback. That was absolutely fantastic. Then also what you can do is, once you've decided where your pond is and you've decided what the benefits is for you as well as them, remember you want to win-win, and you got it in a proper brief, then you want some of these Ring of Steel members to apply for either advisory board membership or apply as your wingman to give it a little bit more prestige and also exclusivity. So the idea is not to go out there and say, ta-da, I have a board of advisory board, a membership open for anyone, and anyone who want to come along and play can come along and play. And I need a numbers person and anyone who's willing for me to help, because I'm so happy that you're just willing to help, can come in. It just doesn't work. This is something that needs to be more strategically approached. It needs to be relational. There need to be quite a transparent plan formulated. And once you've targeted certain people, you see, it's that hunter's mentality. You want to actually make sure that the person who's coming into your ecosystem realize that this is not for everyone, that they realize that this is exclusive, and that there will be an application and vetting process. I cannot stress enough that this has to be a mutual beneficial relationship, whether the person is going to be a numbers person or a mindset person or an advisory board member or a strategic person. It should be mutually beneficial, but it also should be exclusive. This is not, I'm open for anyone to come here and sit on my Ring of Steel. It's called Ring of Steel because it's based on very, very strong relationships. Then once you have these people in your ecosystem, you have to retain these people. And you will not retain people in your ecosystem unless you really invest in your relationships with them. That means many times biting your tongue. That means having the people in your environment and educating them what your business is about, what you're doing, what your vision is. You want to make sure it's not boring. You know, people's not going to sit on your board or be your numbers person or stick around you if you're boring. That doesn't mean you have to do cartwheels every quarter when you see them, but you want to be innovative. You want to be interesting. You want to be doing the latest market research. You want to educate them on why your solution is a fantastic solution and why having them part of this is, and that's the last point, really inspiring. Maybe there's some things in your business that's incredibly ethical. Maybe you're doing something in your business that's really heartwarming. Maybe it's something that's really novel. You want to build that into the deal. And that's why previously we say, if you're going to attract people into your ecosystem, if you're going to attract the bees into your beehives, there has to be win-win benefits. The brief has to be communicated to them very well, and they have to feel that the fact that you are allowing them to come into this ecosystem is incredibly exclusive. Educate, entertain, and inspire. That's how you're going to keep people around you. If you find that you are able to attract people into your Ring of Steel, whether that's employees or that is advisory board members, or it's ambassadors, or it's partners, and they don't stick around, this is why. They're either not educated about what you do, they're not entertained, meaning they're bored, or they're not really inspired by your vision. Now, that's just an overview of this Ring of Steel support system. In the following weeks and months, we'll be diving deeper into this. We'll actually go deeper into what do we actually mean when we talk about an advisory board membership? What do we actually exactly mean when we talk about numbers people or wingmen or the wellness people? We're going to drill into these much deeper in order to give you clarity. This session is just to open up your mind, get that worksheet. Maybe you took a screenshot of it. If you didn't, I'll quickly bring it up again so you can do a screenshot. If not, you can literally just go and check in with Chris, and he'll make sure you get actually the PDF document. If you're on here and you don't know who Chris is, just send him an email. chris@circleofexcellence.biz, not .com, .biz. So after today's session, what are some of the action steps that you can go and take? Well, complete the Ring of Steel worksheet to see who can potentially be part of your Ring of Steel system. You do not really want to have it cast in stone yet here, because remember, we're going to go through module 4 more in detail. And as we go through all these different options and opportunities, some more ideas may pop for you. Also, this is very relational. Module 4 is very relational. So the idea is not to immediately target people and call them and say, hey, you need to be in my Ring of Steel support system. The idea is more that you start making a list of people that you want to have around you and build those relationships. That means after today, maybe start thinking of, this person that you've not been in contact with for a while, and contact them. Take them out for a coffee in a 5-star hotel. Maybe you've not met up with a couple and you usually see them for dinner and you've not seen them for dinner for a while. Go and work those relationships. At the end of the day, when our business is over and our profits is made and everything is all said and done, these relationships in your Ring of Steel is probably some of the most enriching relationships that you're going to treasure most. So second step, draft version 1 of your talent attraction plan and your talent retention plan. So ask yourself, if you have this worksheet and you've only managed to put 5 names on there so far, ask yourself, what is attractive about me? What's attractive about my business? What's attractive about my products and services? And what will be attractive to them? If there's nothing attractive about you and your interests and your preferences, and your business and your products and your solutions, you may find it hard to actually put a deal on the table that make people want to be around your beehive. And even more important, if you do find yourself already creating attraction, you want to really ask yourself, what is going to be my retention plan? Because we are talking about talent. Talent is not just employees. Talent is people with life experience. Talent is people with skills. Talent is all sorts of people that's in your ecosystem, in your community, in your associations that potentially want to be part of what you're doing here. And evidence of accomplishment, how can you know after this first session that you are heading in the right direction? Well, you would have the names, surnames, and contact details and the appointments, very important, of those people that you want to be part of your Ring of Steel support system. Don't freak out. This is only version 1. You're going to have more and more names added on as we go through the sessions. And then number 2, you will have successful execution of your talent attraction and retention plans. In other words, a lot of people will be attracted to what you're doing. That's one of the first indicators that you're really, really doing the right thing and they want to stay. If they don't want to stay, it means they don't want to play. It's not the end of the world. You have different energies and different vibrations and people evolve and people change, but make sure that you're attractive enough that when the one goes out, the next 3 are in line to come in. And that is what a real attraction strategy look like. And that is what a real retention plan look like. So that is literally all I have for you today. The next one will be again on module 4. We're going to actually continue on module 4 with me for as long as this module go on. And then we're going to go on to lesson 2. So look out on the Facebook page when Chris announced me next. And then I'll be going through lesson plan with you all. Now, let me just quickly see here. Lesson 2 is going to be specifically about the advisory board. So if you're quite interested about this advisory board concept and how you can get people onto this advisory board, do check in on lesson 2 and the advisory board. So with that, I'm going to stop the screen share, Chris, and we still have a good 10 minutes or so for any one of you. If you have questions about the Ring of Steel, please pop those questions to me now.